We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there if you feel like it. And also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Today, we are breaking down Bears rookie minicamp, everything that you might have missed from the weekend and the 2 days of practice. We're smooshing it all together. And I do want to make sure that we understand this is rookie minicamp. This is not, oh my gosh, the sky is falling or Super Bowl. I mean, if we want to treat this as Super Bowl, I'm all for that. But we're going to be just really primarily breaking down what did we miss and the 10 key takeaways that I have out there. Now, I'm one. I did not attend, but I was just scouring the web, scouring different sites, and pulling together everything that I was hearing and seeing and throwing it into a simple little top 10 list of the 10 things that you need to care about for this overall rookie minicamp. So without further ado, let's get right into this, and let's talk about the first piece overall, which was Karan Omagi, where we've talked about him before, and the big news was kind of unfortunate. I want to get this out of the way before, as soon as we start, but it was his quad injury. Now, we talked about this when he was drafted, that he had the quad injury, and we knew that he wasn't going to be necessarily fully healthy, even though the Bears said that he passed the physicals, he passed all the medical testing. That might have been more of just a longevity piece than anything else. But ultimately, he was not out there, or he was not participating, but he was still out there behind Chris Morgan, and some people even were cited in saying that they saw him kind of mimicking what some different pieces were happening around the drills. But Omagi is someone that we need to definitely look out for when we start getting into training camp and everything like that, because he might not just be that left tackle like we've been saying. Chris Morgan was talking about Karan the other day and said classroom's big. Being out on the field watching the drills are big. You can actually stand behind and take really great mental reps. A lot of growth we can accomplish in the next month for sure. And that was Chris Morgan kind of talking about what he was doing there, where he was standing behind everyone and getting the mental reps in. So it wasn't like he was doing absolutely nothing out there, but he was at least doing something. And going into the other piece about just the position that he's going to play. Now, left tackle was what he did at Yale, but he was also a guard at Yale before he switched over to tackle. And when asked about the positions, he said, I'm learning everything. I want to be as versatile as possible. I want to be able to contribute wherever I can. I'm not set on one thing. I'm a football player. I'll play wherever you need me. And this, to me, just kind of speaks to more about him as the player, him as the Bears fan that just so happens to be awesome at football. I think that ultimately what you're going to see when we get to training camp is he will be healthy. It's his quad. If he's not, then yeah, we can start raising the red flags, kind of getting a little cautious with this. This is just rookie minicamp. To me, it's more about training camp and can he get some of those live reps actually there. But what I fully expect is that he's not just going to be left tackle. He's going to get some reps at guard. They're going to just see wherever he can play, because they always have that mentality. Best 5 need to be out there. Best 5 need to be out there. And I do think maybe he's not going to be a best 5, but if someone were to go down, which every year someone does go down on the offensive line, he might be the best backup at the tackle position and potentially even at guard, depending on if Ryan Bates is going to be that starter. But also, before we move on, Ryan Bates and the whole center situation, just kind of more light was shed on it. I don't have the exact quote from Chris Morgan, but he did talk about the center position. To me, what this seems like is Ryan Bates, even though he primarily has played guard, is going to get the first team reps at center. That's what every sign is pointing to. And then Coleman Shelton will be the backup with Doug Kramer as the backup of the backup, the third stringer. So definitely something to look out for, but ultimately Karan was not able to play. Unfortunate. But let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get into Rome Odunze. Now, I also want to just kind of get all the injury stuff out there, because if you haven't heard, Rome Odunze did not participate in the second day with some, I believe, quad soreness or whatever. Just forget it, right? It's not anything that we need to worry about. It's just he was just working hard. And a lot of the passes ended up going to Rome as well. So it's something that we should just be excited about, right? But overall, it's rookie minicamp. He's not going to be out. Like, it's no big deal to me. So ultimately, stop with the Kevin White comps that I see out there. He's not Kevin White. This is just a simple, like, hey, you know what? You have some tightness. You don't have to go out there. But ultimately, just a little bit of what I can say about Rome Odunze. Trent Brown was asked about this, about Rome Odunze, just about the interviews. And ultimately, Trent Brown was saying, this is my second favorite player. But what he said, the guy had complete ownership from the beginning to the end. We put him on the board, taking concepts, talking film study. He was a high level in terms of overall IQ, communication skills, the moving piece part. He can back up all three spots and be a versatile piece for us. That was about Rome Odunze and just him, the player. During the interviews, overall, just everyone came away very impressed. And then also there's some videos out there too. Now, I don't have the videos for the show, but Rome Odunze catching some passes. It's all that we see on tape, right? He's got this fluidity to his routes. He's got a good combination of speed and quickness. And then ultimately, when the ball gets to him, he has those wonderful late hands where he kind of puts his hands up at the last second. And it does kind of confuse those corners on what is happening with when is the ball actually going to hit the receiver. But ultimately, Rome Odunze was the number one target for one Caleb Williams on the first day of rookie minicamp. A lot of people were saying, you just tell, he wanted to just feed Rome and get that timing down. Because like we've said on this show, Rome Odunze is not going to be someone that is running and streaking wide open. He's going to be someone that runs a solid route. And if you give him the opportunity and you build that rapport with him being more that possession receiver, if you give it to him, then he'll make a play. So the more timing and the routes that him and Caleb can have down, the better when you start to incorporate Keenan Allen and DJ Moore and these other wide receivers that need the ball in their hands. But third takeaway, let's talk about Caleb Williams. I actually have two takeaways with Caleb Williams. But Caleb Williams, what have people said? And when people were saying, this is from Zack Pearson, he said, it's hard to have a lot of on-field takeaways in rookie minicamp, honestly. But from what I saw in 2 days out there, it just looks so natural for Caleb Williams throwing the football. His coaches are all impressed with him as a person and how he's ahead in terms of details in the scheme in the little time he's been here. But also, too, what was said about him from Shane Waldron. His arm talent and his ability to put the ball where it needs to is evident from day one. Now it's about keeping the learning and progressing and keep moving forward with our system. The arm talent with what he's able to do is so much fun to watch. And I like to cite these because I'm not there, actively there, but hearing what people are saying and just from seeing how Caleb throws, it's quick, it's fast. We know this. And it's just kind of going into the NFL. And yet again, this is rookie minicamp, but still it's nice to see just that different style of throw where Justin Fields was a slower thrower. He had a big windup and also he took a while in the pocket. It's just nice to see Caleb Williams, what we've always been talking about, just more and more and more out there in rookie minicamp. Also just throwing the ball on time and just throwing it to where they need to. Yet again, just lobs, nothing crazy, but still. But this is the thing that to me is Caleb's advantage. The thing that is even larger than just what does he look like as he's throwing the ball. And Zack Pearson talked about it a little bit in that tweet that I just read off, where he says his coaches are all impressed with him as a person and how much he's ahead in terms of details in the scheme in the little time he's been here. And that to me is absolutely huge. What his advantage is that we now found out that in his top 30 visits, he kind of got like the playbook. He got the ability to kind of bring in the offensive concepts, the lingo, the cadence, all those different pieces. He got a jump start over all the other rookie quarterbacks. And that's huge. Because then now, like a lot of you know, I'm starting a new job. I wish I could have gotten a lot of the lingo down before I started. A lot of the acronyms that I have to memorize and things like that. It's a very similar type of piece inside of the NFL. You have to understand what the types of plays are. What do they call it in this system? And it's just awesome that Caleb has that preparedness. And I think you can kind of feel it, that he's more prepared going into this because he's known this for multiple months and he's been able to practice and train and understand this for multiple months. And to me, that's his biggest advantage. And also, you see Caleb Williams, they asked him about leadership, and he said, to be a great leader, you got to learn how to follow first. Right now, I'm following all the vets, having both ears open and my mouth shut. And this is just something like that, the overall vibe. Caleb throws the ball well, but even more importantly, this guy is a leader. This guy is there, and people like him, people love him. And also, you see everybody doing the bear claw, where, yeah, will I be doing a bear claw much? Probably not. But hey, you know what? If that's his thing, sweet. That is cool. I'm all for it, right? But ultimately, Caleb Williams, it's just a good time to be a Bears fan. It really is, because he's able to prepare a lot more than the other rookie quarterbacks. But now let's go on to 5. Let's keep on moving. Let's go a little special teams. And then let's talk a little bit more about someone that the Bears have signed and get into the defense a little bit more. But let's start out with the Crocodile Punter. At number 5, takeaway from the Crocodile Punter. I mean, a lot of people are just impressed with the way that he kicks. We already know that. A lot of this is already stuff that we know. That's why I was even debating on doing a show, just because it just kind of further confirmed a lot of the stuff we knew. Richard Hightower said the strength in his leg and then the touch that he has. You guys saw the strength in his leg Friday. We worked open field punting, and he's as good as advertised. He even talked even more about it, just calling him a weapon, saying that his skill set is so rare, and it's just, everybody loves him. He's the Crocodile Punter. How else couldn't you? And now there have been reports that he did shank a couple. Ultimately, this is just, it's rookie minicamp. You just see the talent. You see the talent, which is how he can kick, and it's things that we know, and it just kind of confirms what we know as well. But also in the same vein of special teams, I do want to talk about Velus Jones. Now, is Velus Jones actually going to be important? Is he going to be an actual person? And actually, let me see. Oh, yeah, here we go. So Velus Jones, the question about this, Richard Hightower was asked about just kind of the kickoff rule. And Richard Hightower said, to describe Velus Jones, it's like a damn freight train running at you, and he's going to get an opportunity to touch the ball 3 or 4 more times in a game. Now, do we believe in Velus Jones? I think is the bigger question. And I think what I like about this is that Velus Jones is going to get an opportunity. He's going to get a chance. And I think ultimately this year, we're going to know what they believe about Velus Jones. The guy's 27, just turned 27, and he still has a couple of years left on his rookie deal. If you are not able to put things together, and if you are not able to be trustworthy, I think that's the key piece. We know that he can make a big play happen on the kickoff returns, but we all know that we're scared to death that he's going to fumble. And I think that is the bigger piece. Do they trust Velus to catch the ball and return that ball? We said this with the punt returns. Punt returns were a little bit nervous because just he's not been reliable with receiving the ball. In kicks, he has more of an opportunity. So to me, he is a weapon. He is someone that you can use. But if you're turning the ball over, I don't want that. I don't want anything to do with that. So if they can't trust him, sayonara, move on from him. You already know, and Ryan Poles has done this before. If what you have is a mistake and you can't trust it, just move on from it. Just move on from it and go on to the next person. But also a little bit about the punt returns too. Someone who was taking some punts was also Ramone Dun. He was someone that I think only took 3 punts in college, someone that was not the designated punt returner, but every now and again would be, and had some pretty good success. Do I want Rome to be returning punts? No. I want 3 wide receivers out there. Keenan Allen is going to get hurt sometime during the season because that's what happens. I don't want the other receivers out there to get hurt. Velus, by all means, just don't drop it. Don't fumble it. That's what I want to see. But speaking of things that I want to see, one of my favorite players that the Bears drafted, Booker. Now, Booker to me, it's just been, Austin Booker is incredible, and he's already talking with Max Crosby. He's in discussions with Max Crosby and kind of learning from Max Crosby, which I absolutely love. Like we said, the body transformation for Booker needs to happen. And what do you know? For those that are watching, you can see up in the top left that picture of Booker. People are saying, they're like, he looks bigger. He looks thicker. He looks like he's already adding some weight. And that's what you want to see. That's what we've been saying needs to happen. He needs to be hit in the weight room. He needs the NFL training and coaching staff around him so that he can kind of bulk up and add that weight. Now, Eric Washington was asked about him, and let's just say Eric Washington loves him. And we already know that Matt Eberflus, when he heard about him, was smiling ear to ear. Washington is pumped. And keep in mind, Eric Washington is known for training defensive linemen that have raw talent. And that's exactly what Austin Booker is. When asked about Austin Booker, this is what Eric Washington had to say. He has a tremendous amount of energy. He never seems to be out of the play, either early or as the play extends with the quarterback, especially as a runner. And when you talk about slippery, it's just hard for the protection, either the person assigned to him or whatever, to get a solid shot on him. He's always rotating and flipping his hips at the right time so he can continue to advance toward the quarterback, and so he has that innate feel and ability. High praise from Eric Washington about this rookie defensive end, and honestly, I really like. It's nice to see that he's gaining weight. It's nice to see that he's larger. It's nice to see that he's bigger. It's nice to see that he's talking to Max Crosby. Overall, good. This is exactly what you want to see from Booker, and that's exactly what we want to see. So let's move on to probably the two most interesting storylines out there that not a lot of people are talking about. One of them is Leon Jones, cornerback out of Arkansas State. Now, I originally kind of opened my eyes to him when I saw that PFF had him as the most interesting, or the undrafted rookie free agent they expect to do the most. And this was before rookie training camp even started. They were like, look at Leon Jones. And one of the big reasons is they're like, this guy is 6'1", around 200 pounds, out of Arkansas State, and he's got the NFL size, and also he has played well. He's played solid, not like completely lights out, but he is someone to look out for. And the Bears gave him a tryout spot and signed him. Let's just say that he turned a lot of heads. So overall, he got a there was a tip drill interception off of an Austin Reed throw that he got, and ultimately he ended up getting and defended a Williams pass to Odunze with a quick closeout on an out route. But also, Gene Chamberlain out of SI said of all the defensive players in the rookie camp, he stood out the most, with Leon Jones, cornerback out of Arkansas State. Also, Chris Kowinski out of Fox 32 was also the person kind of putting some high praise on Leon Jones again. Leon Jones, someone to look out for. We know that the Bears wanted to add some depth at the cornerback position with them kind of bringing in some corners for the top 30 visits. I think ultimately Leon Jones, if he can be that, kind of checks that box, and then he can compete with like a Jalen Jones for an outside corner, or kind of like that fourth, fifth corner spot on this active roster. But definitely someone to at least just keep in the back of your mind. Leon Jones out of Arkansas State. And then two more. We have two more takeaways. One is just Ian Wheeler. I didn't see a lot about people posting about him, but the Bears Bones podcast had an interview with Ian Wheeler, and then I heard a little bit more people kind of talking about him. He is a undrafted rookie free agent out of Howard, and ultimately he's a running back, punt returner, kick returner, special teamer. And when you look at Travis Homer is the special teams guy, but cutting him saves you $2 million. I'd much rather have someone like a Wheeler, who you can look at his PFF grades, 83.3 last season, pretty solid. 87.8 run grade, very, very good last year. But ultimately, this guy plays special teams, and everyone that has talked to him says this guy's a very smart guy. This guy is one of the top, that he's going to be one of the smartest people on the team, just a very, very well-spoken individual, and someone that you could definitely root for. So definitely someone to just keep an eye out for, Ian Wheeler out of Howard, running back, someone that could potentially make the active roster over a Travis Homer. And last but not least, my last takeaway, now we might start to see a free agent signing for the Bears, because I know a lot of people were saying, well, maybe last week, maybe right after the NFL draft, but now the Bears know what they have with some of the rookies. Yeah, the pads aren't completely on or anything like that, but if the Bears wanted to add someone, now would be the time, because you saw kind of Austin Booker and you saw a lot of people praising him. So maybe you feel, okay, well, what do we have with like a Dominique Robinson? What do we have on the bench, essentially, from the defensive end perspective? Do we still need to bring someone in? Or do we need to highlight more of the defensive tackles? Now that we saw Randolph out of Illinois come in, is he someone that we feel comfortable with competing for that fourth defensive tackle spot? Yet again, we do rounds of defensive tackles. Is that something that they need to address, and where do they need to address it? And like we've said before, the Bears' projected cap space is around $8.6, $8.7 million when you factor in some of the rookie deals. Now, ultimately, I think this is actually going to be a little bit higher when the actual numbers come out and when people are actually being signed, because typically at the beginning of the contract, that's where you get the lowest amount of money. So Caleb Williams making $9.8 million on average, that should be a little bit lower in the first upcoming years. So that number should maybe shift all the way up to like 10. And if you cut like a Larry Borum, you're going to just see more and more savings. So ultimately, the Bears could still sign a defensive free agent. And obviously, all eyes are on Calais Campbell. He's been very good. He can play inside, outside. To me, that's the prize. That is the person that you want out of the rest of these defensive line free agents, because you flip over to the defensive tackle spot. Linval Joseph was not great last year. Rakeem Nunez-Roches might actually be someone that the Bears have interest in just because of the familiarity with some of the coaches. He could be that person that they just want to bring in, just to have, here's a solid body, that an okay body that has been a career backup veteran player. But other than that, defensive ends, I like the idea of at least bringing one of them in. We already know Yannick. Carl Lawson is someone that I look at as someone that has history with being able to rush the passer, just had some unfortunate injuries. Otherwise, if they really wanted to bring in someone that understands the scheme, Jerry Hughes, Shaq Lawson are a couple people to definitely look into, or even a Justin Houston, or if we really want to, Rasheem Green could always come back. Don't really want to see that, but it could happen just based on what the Bears ultimately want to do. So let me know what you think. Was there anything else that I missed? I felt like this was all of rookie minicamp and everything together. And I think just to kind of wrap up rookie minicamp as a whole, right? It is just rookie minicamp, but still what feels good is there's this different vibe. Everybody's talking about this too. Just the vibe is different inside of the building with all the players around there. And it's just an exciting time to be a Bears fan. And if you want some more coverage, make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube. Also, rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. We'll be doing less shows now just because the season's over, the draft is over, but still, we will have you covered with excellent Bears coverage. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's